Moglers! This is the number one potato boss coming at you with a MogPod Podcast Featurette for Season 3 of the month of October. We're going to do these small featurettes every month just to say something that we couldn't say on the podcast. And most importantly, we're going to have guests. And this time, I've got the 2018 Euros champion, Alex, Mr.Cool Hancox. How's it going, Alex?
What's up, guys? How's it going? Great to be here. Always happy to be hanging out with the number one potato boss.
Yeah. So we got Alex here today just to for him to tell us, like, how was Euros? What was your experience with Euros?
Sure. Well, I guess I'll start with the decks then. Basically, the reason I chose Earthwind and Mono Warfare, so Earthwind was always going to be my pick before the Euros got announced as 2-deck format, which was quite shortly before the event. I'd kind of been thinking Dadaluma, Cactuar, sort of Earthwind since the beginning of the format, just because I realized how strong my card Zidane was, and I just thought it just had so many. It was like a toolbox deck. It just kind of had answers for anything. And yeah, I tested. Once I was finished testing with other sort of new Opus 7 stuff, I kind of stuck with that about 6 weeks before the event, and then 3 weeks beforehand, the new format was announced, and I was like, well, I'm not going to bring ice because I don't really like ice at the moment. Lightning, I'm not a big fan of. Fire, just unfortunately isn't too hot, even though it's fire. And
Oh man.
yeah, so I thought we'll go with water something definitely. I thought maybe I could try out the water ice deck, but I played against it so much that it'd been really underwhelming. So I went with just mono water, and after my friend Jonathan Ho won the Grand Open in UK with mono water Fusoya.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Fusoya was definitely the pick for mono water, but I wanted to try something a little different and only play 2 Fusoya, and then have a couple of Ash in there as well as a sort of tech pick, and yeah, a bit better against sort of the other decks that Fusoya was normally weaker against.
Yeah, exactly. So like, to be, oh sorry, I want to just go back 2 seconds and go on the ice water deck. I've had a conversation with some of my American friends, with like David Cox and Matthew Okamoto, and they think that Genesis Avatar and Water Ice is not a good pick. I do not agree with them. I just want to see what your quick take is. This is not the point of this podcast. I just want to say your quick take. Do you think Genesis Avatar is worth it in Water Ice?
I've had games where I've been playing, and the only way my opponent can win is with Genesis Avatar, and I think it's the kind of thing that you can just play a one of, but it's a bit awkward. It's whether you think the space is best off suited somewhere else. But my theory on the deck in general, it just isn't good enough, no matter how many Nidhogg's or Genesis Avatar you play, unfortunately. Okay,
fair enough. Okay, so let's get back to the main thing. So you're only about the Fusoya thing. Fusoya got like an indirect buff by the Layla Vikings, right? Because now people are just like afraid to block the Layla Vikings, and it's just like, damn it, you know.
Yeah, I think Camlanaut was one of the big reasons that Fusoya was just so good, because you just play a Layla Viking and suddenly their Camlanaut, which is usually immortal in the mono war deck, just you know, it has to block. It can't block a Viking because it would just die to Fusoya.
I mean, you know, there's a choice now to make it light, then, right?
Yeah, and then suddenly you realize you've got something else in the back line. You're like, oops.
Well, Earthwind, obviously, like the top contender. Zidane is amazing. Dadaluma Cactuar is amazing. And did you see the spoiler that we had just this morning?
What is that? The Earth Searcher?
Yeah, the Earth Searcher. Like, would you run one of that just so you can find the Dadaluma more often, or even a world more often?
I actually wouldn't, because
okay.
My experience during the tournament, and generally outside of the tournament when I was practicing, is that Dadaluma very much took a backseat in this version of Earthwind. It was very much focused on Zidane and Vanille. So if I were to run the Earth Searcher, maybe for Vanille. But
bro,
I kind of just drew enough good cards. I didn't need to search anything in particular unless I had Moogle's Retrieve.
Vanille is such an amazing card that most of the time I have to resort to Y'shtola Ingot while I kill it through battle damage. And that just...
Yeah, I've had that once or twice too.
Yeah, and it's worth it in that scenario, but it just feels so bad, you know? It's like so much CP. Yeah, Vanille's such an amazing card. And also, I've had an argument with Chris Matiski, who won the national championships for Australia. Good job, Chris Matiski. He's coming to Worlds. I've had an argument with him like I don't know, like a few months ago about if you're gonna play Vanille, how many hecatones do you run? I was like, you can run 4, 5, or 6. Just really depends on how much you want to go into that plan. And he was adamant that if you're gonna run Vanille, you have to run 6. And you're running 5 hecatones, right? If I remember correctly.
I'm running 5 hackathons.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, yeah. Well, okay, I'll just explain to you why.
Yeah.
And it's the simple fact is, I never ran out of hackathons during the tournament.
yeah.
She never died enough. I never drew them enough, and I just didn't feel like the space was worth dedicating to another one at the time.
And your ratio is the better type of ratio. I saw Jamie Faulkner run 3 of the 2 drop, 2 of the 3 drop. No, it should be 3 of the 3 drop and 2 of the 2 drop. The 3 drop is so relevant in so many scenarios. It's like insane.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, that's enough for the deck. If you guys want to hear more about Alex's
Thoughts and theories,
expert takes on the Euro Championships and other deck that you used, go follow the Crystal Tower podcast. It is amazing. If you're not following that, I don't know what you're doing, but it's such an amazing podcast. They talk about meta. They have some fun. They have a lot of guests all the time. So go like the Facebook page and go follow them on any podcast app. Anyways, just on a little side note, right? You were very vocal about the 2-deck format, and I can kind of guess why, because it's such a huge change, and you have to change, you're kind of thinking of playstyle and what kind of decks you're using. But after I thought about it and considered it for a little bit, I was like, I actually think the 2-deck format for the Final Fantasy TCG currently is a better format than the 3-deck format. Just mainly because there is so much more. I feel like there's more strategy into it, and also you can't have a bad deck and still come out on top. You have to win with both of the decks, regardless. So that's why I think it's so great. What are your thoughts on the 2-deck format versus the 3-deck format, going to Worlds, so to say? Even though Worlds has been confirmed to be a 3-deck format.
Yeah, I think there's probably merit. I've thought about it a bit because I started writing up about the event and said my sort of closing thoughts on 2-deck. And I think outside the late announcement, which I think affected it slightly, 2-deck is actually quite a strong format. I do like that you have to bring 2 solid decks, and you're rewarded for having knowledge of 2 decks. As for Worlds 3-deck, last year when I was competing in Worlds, I had a mono fire deck in my lineup, which actually did fairly well, but it was the deck I was least confident with. I had like a month to make it, and it had stuff like that Jekt mannequin in it that I kind of regret playing now. But I do agree that 2-deck, needing to win with 2 decks instead of being able to lose with one of your bad decks in 3-deck is probably a bit more skill intensive, I guess. But yeah, I mean, for Worlds, I really don't kind of mind how they do it. I think it's, obviously it's still Worlds, you still want to do well, but far less of a serious thing, at least for me. And being able to play 3 decks and kind of show off some spicy stuff is a nice thing to do.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Obviously, like you said in your last podcast, if you made it to if you got to Worlds, you've made it. Like that's it. So so like that's amazing. But if we're just talking about just like competitively, I do generally think the 2-deck format is a better format currently for the Final Fantasy TCG, unless something changes.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Yeah.
Anyways, so besides that, I have been an advocate ever since Opus 6 release for the Final Fantasy 2 deck, and darn it, like it's not a super competitive deck, but when it goes off really, really well. I want to talk about my version of the deck first, and then we're gonna talk about your version of the deck, because like looking online and looking with my friends and stuff, like no one is actually like seriously experimented with the FF2 deck. They just look at it and then they don't think that it's worth it for their time. I don't know. Anyways, the card that I didn't think that I would actually run, but when I ran it, I felt so much better, because one of the things with this deck is that if you don't have Sid 2 in your opening hand, or at least on your second draw, you're kind of playing on the back foot. You kind of need the Sid 2. And so the way I can mitigate that is a little bit by Dominion Legionary, right? Dominion Legionary is kind of like the Fire Sid 2, almost, pretty much. And I love putting like This is a story that I kind of always tell, but it's because everyone was saying like how Dominion Legionnaire is a bad card, and then I was playing against Justin, a resident like Mono Ice player, and then I played Sid 2 turn 1, and he thought he was gonna be cheeky and play a Celeste to freeze my Sid. And then I was like, "You're not gonna stop me from ramping." I played 2 Dominion Legionnaires. This should shove in his face. It probably wasn't a good play, but it was just to show him that I can still ramp even if he throws my Celeste. Anyways, and Dominion Legionary makes it so when you attack, you have that threat of increasing by 1,000 power, and that's actually really relevant when I found it in a lot of the playthroughs. That's one of the main differences. And when I've play tested it, I've always got in love with it. Like I told you, it's just if I don't draw Sid 2, then I can draw Dominion Legionary, etc. etc. Obviously I've talked about this deck before and saying that it's not a FF2 deck, it's a Diablos Phoenix deck supported by FF2. And I went a little bit further and still put in the Forge of Phoenix because it still deals with Layla Vikings very well and gets back my Maria. And Maria is a solid card in this deck. She just does so much. She's like your 6th backup. But something that one of my MogPod hosts, Jared, convinced me to play was a one of Urianger. And oh boy, has that been like a dream. Like just Phoenixing back the Urianger. There's no other way I can play the Urianger. But Phoenixing back the Urianger for another Cactuar has always felt so good. Obviously, Urianger is an amazing card. But yeah, other than that, I run the 3 drops a day over the 4 drops a day because he's a great Phoenix target and gets rid of key cards out of my opponent's hand early game. And Zell is in there because of monster decks, and he's pretty good haste. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it from my take on it. Alex, do you have any comments on my deck currently before we go to your deck?
Why are you only playing 2 VV?
I found that the VVs early game, like they don't usually play forward, and I have to discard it, and then usually I can just like Phoenix him back whenever I need to. The 3 VV always felt too much. I always drew too many VVs for my liking. But yeah, so do you want to go to your deck?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Will you be my guy? That's a pretty funny name. Anyways, so tell us about your deck. What kind of choices did you choose? And why do you think it's best? I guess technically we haven't talked about the FF2 engine in particular. You can talk about it more.
Okay, so yeah, the FF2 engine is, you obviously got Sid 2 in the deck, and basically when you're running Sid 2 with Fire, every FF2 category card gives Guy 1,000 power. So it's like Sid 2, not only does he search a backup every turn, he also gives Guy an invisible sort of 1,000 power buff. Guy is just a really, really good attacker when supported well. Even if he gets to 8k, 3-mana 8k Brave with that kind of, when he dies, activate all his stuff is really good because it gives everything else basically pseudo Brave versus anything that's like not ice, where you don't get Donna Frozen all the time. And yeah, just with Firion is such a good card when he costs 2, and he's such an average card when he costs 4. So the more you can pack in Rebel wise, the better. So having the Maria in there, the turns where you go like you're on 4 backups, you play Maria Firion. It's just a lot for your opponent to deal with, sort of 2 legendary cards on the board at once.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yeah. I've also got the Emperor in there, who's a category 2 as well. That gives Guy a buff. It's pretty nice deck to have Emperor.
Yeah, and also Maria can buff him, so he's like even harder to get rid of. For some
a lot
decks.
of people don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of miss that. Yeah. But what I love doing against Viking decks is when I already have Maria on the field, having Maria and like 1 Cactuar or 2 Cactuars just like demolishes all their Vikings, and then you just like eventually when have you tried Cactuars? That is my question for you, and why aren't you running any Cactuars? Have you tried them?
No, I haven't tried. I thought about putting Cactuar in, I couldn't really find the space. I was liking 17 backups, maybe your 15 approaches kind of. There's probably like I played this deck a lot, and I switched it around a lot, and I never really kind of tried Cactuar because I felt like Maria was generally enough for that. I kind of thought if I was going to play Cactuar, I might as well play a Dead Luma deck instead. But there's probably things you could shave off here and there to fit a few Cactuars in for sure.
But people always play the 1,000 power buff, so I find that when I have 1 Cactuar and a Maria, I'm still able to kill them with the Diablos and Barbarisha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I found that was pretty good. And you obviously play the Forge of Zidane. I've tried the Forge of Zidane a lot, and I still like him, but it's it's been like some games he outright just wins the game, and other games it's like I wish he was a 3-drop Zidane.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I have to say about Zidane in this deck is that it's the deck that doesn't do him the best kind of justice because your deck's all about big summons, and you actually want to play Zidane as early as possible. You don't have access to the big summons, so your opponent's smart. They'll literally just put like a blocker or two in the way, and your Zidane can't really get through. Whereas in Earthwind, you can just get through it with Hecatons or Chaos Walkers and so on.
Or even just like a wall. A wall with Zidane is like devastating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's the deck that's least good for him, and I definitely think there's merit to the 3-drop you're playing.
Yeah. The reason like one of the things that I'm playing, obviously, you probably trialed him, but you probably took him out. Is I play one of Leon, and I put him there kind of for flavor, but also just to trick my opponent. I love going like play Leon, give Leon to my opponent, and I say I pass the turn, and then they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I pass the turn." Well, what do you like? Okay, and then they go to battle phase, and then obviously, you should attack with Leon first in case I get something.
In Maria or something.
Yeah, exactly. I Phoenix in a Maria or a guy, and then I just get back the Leon, and then the Leon can block if they didn't attack with them first. But obviously, if they're good players, they'll attack with them first, and then I'll just Phoenix it anyway, and it just feels pretty cool. It feels even better against Lightning. So one of the things against Lightning, obviously, you don't want to have an active forward, so you just give them the Leon, and then you can just Phoenix in something like on their turn after they attack with the Leon, and then the Leon will be down. They can't outsit him for whatever that's worth. So that's why I just like a one-off. Like I don't always see him, but when I can go Leon, Maria, Furion, that's always a huge board that they really have to take care of. But obviously, Layla does steal him, and that feels bad.
Yeah, that's literally the reason.
Yeah.
I don't think because Layla is like there were about 20 million Fusoya decks at Euros this weekend, so about 20 million Laylas as well. So
but I mean, but that's why it's just a one-off, right? Like if I see water, I just discard him. But if I don't,
definitely.
if I don't see water, like I play him, and they're like, oh my god, 1-drop 8K with Maria and Furion is like pretty huge. One of the things that I say about this deck is that I don't need to draw my good cards. All I have to do is search my bad cards, and then I'll just draw my good cards normally. So
that's the reason the deck's so strong.
Yeah,
when it goes off. Yeah.
So like the Sid 2 searches for my evokers, and then the Domini Legionary, I play 2 of him, and I searches all my Domini Legionary, and then it's like I've essentially only got like 3 backups in the deck, and everything else does something. I can do something like pretty big every turn. That's why I really like the deck, and I really wish more people would have experienced it, because the experiment that I have, it's quite literally my favorite deck of Opus 6. Like I said, it's not extremely competitive, but it's so fun when it goes off. One of the things that you might agree with me here is that I was so disappointed how there's no FF2 searcher. So many of the times, like you found like a Furion, and it's like you don't have a Maria or a guy, and you just feel so sad, right? But now they kind of already printed an FF2 searcher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Off the top of my head, no.
So there's a new fire backup. I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's called Meath Crim.
Meath Crim. It's probably one of those earlier spoilers.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was in Japanese as well. So a lot of people didn't pay attention. But it's a 2-drop fire backup, right? And when it enters the field, you may discard 1 card, right, and search for a forward of equal cost to that card.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so in this deck, right, you're able to discard your extra Sid 2s and your extra Dominion Legionary, right, to search for your Furion or your Emperor. So, like, that's pretty much it. Or you're able to discard Evoker to search for your Leon, because Leon is a good card. No, I just I'm just joking. But the thing is that like that Meath Crim is like an extra copy of Furion Emperor, I guess technically still Leon, but um, it's the FF2 Searcher that in disguise, in my opinion. And I'm definitely going to increase the backup count to 16 and take out the Sid 11 to incorporate him. A 2 of I think. What do you think about Meath Crim in the deck?
Yeah, I mean, when you just said that sounds pretty solid. Yeah, it's annoying not having Guy without Furion and Furion without Guy, so being able to get both of them. I mean, I'm playing Selfie as well, and I've got Blackwoods in here, so I can discard those to add. And you can discard a 3-drop that you want a Phoenix later, and then get out a Guy. A lot of applications.
Yeah, like your deck is much more suited to search out a Furion or a Guy, whereas my deck is just more about the Furion, I guess. Maybe I should add in more 3-drops. I don't know. The other change that I would add is the new starter flyer cards, the new Furion and the new Warrior of Light. Those two are very good Phoenix targets. Do you reckon that you might sneak 1 or 2 of them into your deck?
The Warrior of Light seems interesting, definitely with the 4-drop Phoenix being able to do that. You know, when you're putting blocks, bringing a forward, maybe the Warrior of Light even gets haste. The Furion, just the name clash is gonna really hurt me there. I think maybe this is a good deck to do it because of like Cactuar and stuff being able to increase his range, but it's gonna be iffy for me playing another copy of Furion.
Yeah, maybe not the Furion, but when I was looking at a thing, I could only find space for a 2 of Warrior of Light, and I'm definitely gonna try that out because the 2K power buff is not irrelevant, and as we said, this deck can go wide, kind of.
Yeah, but while we're on the subject of the starter decks, sorry, I just want to mention probably the new Cecil might find a place in this deck.
Oh yes,
well,
yes.
We don't play. Well, are you playing 5?
No, I'm not.
I'm not playing 5 drops.
Yeah, we're not
which
playing.
Which is fine because we're immune to Diablos in that case. But
exactly.
The Cecil's nice because it can give you like another Sid 2 activation. It can. It can just it's cheap when you sort of if you're in a losing spot, you take 5 damage. He becomes kind of immortal, you know. I don't know. He
can activate Maria for another activation of 1K. If you need to. Yeah. It's definitely relevant. So like out of all the other fire and wind cards, nothing else seems to jump out at me that will help this deck.
Not directly.
Not necessarily, but I don't know. I guess I'm single-handedly just happy with the Meath Crim, to be honest.
It would just be great. I've said it since for ages now. It'd be just great if we got a 5-drop Joseph and Fire that was basically like Setzer that could at least add any like FF2 forward. It's just another Rebel and something to search.
Yeah, exactly. If they make like Joseph like a Setzer for Fire that can search out a Maria, it won't be broken if it wasn't, say, Wind. Like if the Joseph was in Wind and he could search out Maria, that's a little bit broken because they would just use it to find the 4-drop backup Maria in other decks. So they
if you just added a forward, I mean, like
even a forward, you can do that too. Yeah. Like I said, like it just needs that little bit more consistency, I think.
It feels a bit like Scions did before like the Ishtola came out, for example.
Yeah,
it needs a bit more to push it into a more competitive place.
Yeah, maybe like I think it needs to search characters. I want to find the Sid 2 from when I don't draw the Sid 2. If it was like a 5-drop forward that can find Sid 2, even if it just said search for Sid 2, that'll be enough, honestly. Anyways, just this little featurette of the FF2 deck on what we think of the FF2 deck and maybe of what things to try in the future. One last thing, Alex.
Yes.
How are you finding the 9-drop Bahamut in your deck? I've tried it and it always didn't feel as good when I cast it.
This is kind of like a theory I use when I'm playing. Like the Bahamut definitely isn't necessary, right? But sometimes I just don't draw a Phoenix or Diablos like by the time I need one, and I just feel like having the extra kind of card like that is good. And sometimes the Bahamut just killing 2 things is really strong when you've got a board and they can't kill your board, but they can contest your board. with their own forwards.
Mm.
Bahamut just kind of sends them all away. Yeah, it's I mean, this deck can't accommodate the Phoenix, the 4-drop, because it's just running Maria.
Oh, that's
so
true. Yeah.
my go-to choice. But maybe if one of the new wind or fire summons is any good, I think we're waiting on a second one for both element. Then maybe the
Yeah. We don't even have
else.
a new water summon. But probably by the time this comes out, it'll be it'll probably already be spoiled.
It'll probably be some like Leviathan that on cast bounces a 3-drop. If you EX burst, I don't know, bounce a 4-drop or something. Yeah.
Oh no, it bounces a forward like just blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's been very underwhelming, those new summons. I really hope the second summon of each set would do justice. I've also thought about the new Lan. It can kind of fit in this deck, but not really. I would rather just put Zidane. Zidane probably does.
Yeah, so like I was thinking about that. I was like, the rain gives you another EX burst, but it also gives you another backup, and you kind of want the Lan to be 9k to get most value out of that. But
that's true, yeah.
With those times where you do just have a load of evokers to dump, a load of backups, the Lan really converts those backups into something useful.
That's true, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's just been the MogPod Featurette, just a really short little conversation with the Euros championship, Alex Hancox. And we're gonna do these little featurettes every month, just having a different guest on. But our normal MogPod podcast will be every week, live streamed on Friday. All our podcasts are live streamed now. We always try to one up ourselves. Anyways, Alex, do you want to say anything to the MogPod listeners before you go?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is this Euros championship was a tough ordeal, but it was worth putting the effort in. And I think if you do want to do well, you've got to put the effort in. But you've most importantly, when you're playing this game, got to focus on having fun. And this Rebel deck, it might not be the most busted tier 1 turbo discard Dadaluma Cactuar deck, but it's a hell of a lot of fun to play and experiment with, and it's always an interesting game. So yeah, just keep having fun, enjoying the game, and give Sid2 and friends a try.
Yeah. Before you go, I want a MogPod exclusive. My MogPod exclusive is, what console did you choose after you got the first in the Euros?
Okay, I've got to tell you the story about this. It's not really a story, but basically every single person in top 4 wanted the Switch, right? I don't even know if it's the most valuable console, but basically I had an Xbox since it came out, the Xbox One. And at Euros last year, for coming second, I won a PlayStation 4. So I had no use for another Xbox or PS4 other than to sell it. And that Steam bundle, while I appreciate that it's a cool little extra thing, it's I think probably worth the least, and it's the sort of least useful as well. So we were all kind of competing for the Switch, and literally everyone was like, Jamie was telling me, I want a Switch for my girlfriend, and Jose, who I played in the final, was like, he literally said, his wife said to him, don't come home if you don't bring back the Switch.
My god.
I mean, I kind of felt bad, but I mean, when they asked me what console I want, I just snatched that Switch and ran away,
Oh man,
that's Super Smash Bros. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It's so interesting. Everybody wants the Switch. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I heard about Jamie wanting it, but I didn't know about anybody else wanting it too. Anyways, okay, so that's your MogPod exclusive news. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. So no podcast this week, but we'll be back next week. This week we'll have the pre-release. Keep your eyes tuned to the MogPod Facebook page, where we will spoil the whole set come midnight New Zealand time. And also at the end of the month, I've been saying this on every podcast, is the MogPod anniversary. It's going to be huge. I can't tell you what it is yet because I still want to, create suspense. But I can promise you all, it's going to be huge, and you're gonna have to stay tuned for that amazing event. Anyways, do you want to say bye-bye, Alex?
I do, yeah. Thank you guys for listening and sitting around with me and the number 1 potato boss. It's been a lot of fun, and take care, everyone, and stay cool.
Yeah, number 1 potato boss and Mr.Cool. We're out.